Aaron Murphy joined now by Scott Laughlin, an old colleague and friend, now host of the Power Play show on Sirius XM. And Scotty, the Bruins really put a perfect game together against the Blackhawks in Game 3. A little bit of a buzz around the building here this morning from morning skate. What do you expect from the Blackhawks to come out tonight to try and counter that here in Game 4?
Well, I think, Aaron, when you look at it, they've got to get something beyond Jonathan Toews. I mean, Toews is not scoring. He's been negated certainly by Zdeno Chara and Dennis Seidenberg in that shutdown duo for the Boston Bruins. So it's really incumbent, I think, on that quote-unquote number 2 line to step forward here. And it's all about Patrick Kane. He's been omnipresent at times, and other times he's been invisible. He's a game breaker, and sometimes you see with those game breakers, all they need is that one opportunity. Maybe the floodgates will open for a guy like Pat Kane, but if you're conceding the Toews-Chara matchup to the Boston Bruins, it's really, really imperative that Patrick Kane steps forward for the Blackhawks as early as tonight.
Now, you were in Chicago for Games 1 and 2. I joined you here at Game 3. What has been the difference? Because the Blackhawks were a more confident bunch, especially after the triple overtime game. What do you think has been a little bit of the change? Is it the crowd here at TD Garden, or just the Bruins sort of getting going as the series moves on?
Well, I think in Game 3, there were two things right off the hop. In the first 4.5 minutes, Boston outshot Chicago 7-2. And I think that part and parcel, that was about the atmosphere. It was about the crowd here getting behind the Boston Bruins. I think more so than that, they were in shock that Marian Hossa was unable to go in game number 3. And I think when they had their horse, or Haas as they call him, up front, not in the lineup, they were kind of shell-shocked at the way that all went down with the pregame warm-up, and Ben Smith gets inserted into the lineup with Hossa's mysterious injury ailment popping up at the wrong time for sure. I think it took the Hawks a little while to get going. Joel Quenneville said he enjoyed his team's first period. He thought that they played relatively well. But I think the first 4.5 minutes, they got behind the 8 ball a little bit. And once they adjusted to life after Marian Hossa for game number 3, they were a little bit better as the game went on, still clearly falling back in all categories against Boston.
And it's also got to be said that, I mean, Tyler Seguin is not scoring. He's got a few assists, but he's not lighting it up. Jaromir Jagr's still looking for his first goal. But it seems that the Bruins guys who are a little bit snake-bit are doing the little things on the wall. They're blocking shots. They're chipping the pucks out cleanly on the break. But the guys on the Blackhawks like Kane and Toews who aren't scoring don't seem to be sort of doing the little things to help the Blackhawks win right now.
Well, I think at playoff time, Aaron, I think what you look for is not only your best players to be your best players, but beyond that, I think you need your role players to step forward. Now, what have we seen so far in this series? Danny Paille with a couple of game-winning goals. He's got 4 goals in the postseason now. He had the game winner the other night. Just to put that in perspective, Danny Paille in his entire playoff career in the National Hockey League in the Stanley Cup playoffs had 4 goals, period. And that goes back years. Now he's got 4 already in 2013. So when your best players are your best players, you've got an opportunity to win. But more so than that, especially when it comes to this series, when your role players step into a situation where they produce, and we saw it earlier in the series with Shaw and Boland and players like that in the game that Chicago won, playing as well as they did. I think when your role players are able to do what Danny Paille has done here lately, Boston has been the benefactor of all that.
Totally agree. I mean, 2 overtime games in Chicago, a near perfect game, as they like to say in baseball, here at Fenway Park by the Bruins in Game 3. I'm going to have to do it to you. I'm going to ask you to put your neck on the line. What do you expect from Game 4 tonight as far as the result goes?
Well, you know what? The momentum can switch just like that. Maybe a Jonathan Toews goal breaks him loose. It sets the captain free a little bit. Maybe a power play goal gets the Blackhawks going with the man advantage. Having said all that, this series is starting to trend in the direction of the Boston Bruins. I expect Boston to win tonight, and the Stanley Cup is going to be in the building in Chicago on Saturday night.
Bold predictions by my old friend and colleague Scott Laughlin. Thanks for taking the time to join us on ESPN here in Europe.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You can follow along on ESPNAmerica.com, at ESPN America on Twitter, and of course you can watch the game in continental Europe late night tonight.